Good morning, Guam. We're here at the Guam Visitors Bureau where Breakfast with the Liberators is taking place. If you tuned in yesterday, you'd know that we met the Grand Marshals of the 75th Annual Guam Liberation Day Parade. Now we're here to pay homage to the Liberators, three in particular that we're going to get to have a breakfast with, sit down with, and learn their stories about where they were at 75 years ago. And we're also going to have a chance to speak to Vice President of GVB, Bobby Alvarez, about what today entails, what that celebration is going to look like, and really all the stories, the personal stories that we're going to hear from these liberators that are really moving. We read some of their bios yesterday. So, Bobby, if you could go ahead and give some of our viewers a preview of the liberators, who they are, and what you've heard about them so far.
Okay, we need to take a cut so I can get information. I have that all scripted. We met so many people with the sons, and so I got to get the names straight. But why don't I let Pilar talk about that? But I cannot talk to you about the liberators itself, right? Okay. Right. So you know, this is a very special moment in Guam's history because it's 75 years. Our liberators are actually dying off little by little. So I can imagine within a few years we're probably going to have very few of them. But the one thing that we need to pay homage to is our liberators came here and they made a lot of sacrifices for our freedom. They've seen things that were very horrific. They experienced things that were out of the norm, as well as our people did. So the one thing that comes to mind is that there was a very big celebration when we were liberated from within and then from without. So I think that with that said, the one important thing that we should really focus on is the freedom we have today, that we can walk our streets, go to work without any fear of suppression, is something that we should celebrate. But more so, the liberators that came here and paid the ultimate sacrifice for our island, as well as our own people that paid the sacrifice for our island. We were suppressed, some of them were beaten, many were killed, and this is something that we should really keep into Guam's history and take note that we are here today because of all these sacrifices that were made. So with that, we are proud to host this breakfast this morning and to honor our liberators. Some of them are 95, some of them are close to 100 years old, and we're not going to be seeing them around pretty soon, so this is a very special year. I want to thank the governor, lieutenant governor, for really putting a lot of focus on this 75th anniversary of our liberation.
All right, and we have the liberators' names here. So it's Lloyd Gillick, Raymond Falconer, and World War II veteran Rosen, Grin. What's the significance of having a breakfast celebration? Why is it important to sit down with them today?
Well, like I said earlier, these gentlemen are really up there in age, and we're not going to be seeing them around. But the significance of this breakfast this morning is to just gather and spend some time with them and thank them for the sacrifices they made to be in front of them and to see them, because, like I said, in a few years, they may not be around. This is very special for us to have some FaceTime with them and to see someone that stormed the beaches of Guam when he was in his teens, to fight, to see things that we don't see. So I think the significance of this breakfast is to get together, have some FaceTime, and look into the eyes of someone that had offered you freedom.
And what's on the spread? I mean, we're going to be here. What's on the breakfast menu? Food,
and more food. You know, when us Chamorros celebrate, you know, everything's done with food. It's part of our culture. Heck, Jason loves food.
Oh yeah.
So you know, food is a way of our people on Guam. We get together, and food brings us together. Barbecues bring us together. So we're happy to bring our liberators together at this point and share the food with us and have a little breakfast time with us. And we need to thank them, you know, for everything they've done for us.
And will they be sitting next to the Grand Marshals, or where exactly can folks see these liberators once the parade begins?
I don't have any logistics information on where they're going to be sitting, but we do have a VIP canopy, and I believe that's where they may be with the Grand Marshals. And yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Looking forward to meeting all the liberators.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, we just heard there from GVB Vice President Bobby Alvarez about really what's taking place this morning. And again, also remembering that yesterday we heard from some of the Grand Marshals who were selected, who again will be under that VIP canopy with the liberators. We heard those moving stories of a lot of them, as Bobby mentioned, in their teens, experiencing the atrocities of war and seeing the invasion end with the liberators coming in. And we're also going to hear from Pilar Laguardia, the president and CEO of GVB. Pilar, how do you feel about today, and how did the Liberators enjoy their trip coming to Guam?
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, Biba, Guam, happy liberation to our island community. Yes, this morning we are going to welcome three of our special guests to our Liberators, and one is a World War II veteran that came to Guam to help rebuild Guam immediately after the war. It is a great honor to have Guam Visitors Bureau, on behalf of our board of directors, our staff and management, to host our returning Liberators. And they will be enjoying the festivities and seeing for a long time what Guam has turned into after the war and how vibrant our economy is today. They bring with them family members to escort them. We have the schedule that will be allowing them to participate in all of the upcoming ceremonies. So our community can look forward to seeing them throughout the news coverage that we will be having on liberation.
All right, and how did you come about finding these Liberators every year?
Oh, that's an easy one. Ever since we've been celebrating liberation, maybe started in the 50th year, we started collecting a database of all of them, and we have kept contact with them. Veterans Day or Christmas or Father's Day, we would always send them mail. Every liberation, we would collect what we can from the year's liberation and send them care packages just to keep them engaged, or we'll phone call them. This morning I made some phone calls to other Liberators that were not able to come, but they're here in their hearts and spirits. But GVB has been very engaged with them for many, many years.
All right, thank you so much. And everyone can expect to see them at the parade, of course. And we're going to be sharing a few of their stories today. So, and three Liberators. Right?
Well, two are Liberators, and one came immediately after the war to help reconstruct and clean up the war debris and things like that nature. And so, please talk to them, listen to their stories, and share their stories with our community.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Pilar. Appreciate it.
And Biba Guam, happy liberation.
Happy liberation. All right, thanks so much. We're going to go ahead and read some of the comments here that we have coming in our live stream. Sabina Chargalov says, Buenas, Sabina. Debbie Davis says, Hafa Adai, KUAM, Tomas and all on Guam. We also have Christine watching from Washington State. Always interesting to see where folks are coming in from. Also, can never doubt someone from San Diego is watching. Hello, San Diego family. We have Rose David Cruz saying, how awesome and thoughtful to host this event for our Liberators. God bless them all. And that really is the spirit of what today is, and this morning, bringing together not only to remember, the great atrocities of what happened roughly 75 years ago, but also a lot of the resiliency and hope. Yesterday, the governor, in her remarks announcing the Grand Marshals, also talked about how, this is truly embody the tomorrow spirit of hope and resiliency. And if I could also again share those names with you of the Liberators who are finally on Guam, arriving last night. They weren't able to join the Grand Marshal ceremony yesterday, but the Liberators are Lloyd Gillick and Raymond Falconer, and again that one World War II veteran, Rosen. And today, Carl and I are going to have a moment to speak to each of them one-on-one and bring you their stories for tonight's newscast and also for Sunday's Liberation Parade. So in just a few moments, we can expect to enjoy a good spread, as Pilar and Bobby were both telling us. The Lieutenant Governor is also expected to come in just a few moments to give his remarks. And then, we're going to have a photo opportunity and also one-on-ones with each of these Liberators and the World War II veteran, Rosen, Grin. Again, scores of people here waiting to welcome the Liberators and World War II veterans, GVB staff, working hard to make sure that their welcome is greeted with, of course, a warm Hafa Adai Spirit. And I believe we're waiting for the Liberators and World War II veterans to enter. So the Liberators and the World War II veteran are here with their families.
Oh, good.
Thank you. How's it to be in Guam?
It's nice, humid, hot, beautiful though.
And are you a family member of one of the
I am,
liberators?
yep,
Right.
Gordon's daughter,
Right. What is your name?
Debbie King.
Great. Thank you for bringing your family in.
You're welcome.
Hafa Adai, Gordon. How does it feel to be on Guam?
We don't have to shovel snow down here, do we?
And GVB giving a warm Hafa Adai to the 2 liberators and 1 World War II veteran.
This is our board chairman, Mr. Sunny Ada,
Hafa Adai, welcome. Glad to have you here.
and this is our vice chairman, Mr. Milton Morinaga.
Thank you very much.
Yes, yes,
Hafa Adai, welcome, sir.
yes, yes. Good to see you again.
Hi.
Hafa Adai.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Guam Visitors Bureau, Bobby.
Hafa Adai, ma'am. How are you?
Good.
Welcome to our island.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi.
Welcome. Hafa Adai, welcome.
Morning. Morning.
Morning.
Hafa Adai.
How does it feel coming back to Guam for the first time since 1944?
Yeah, it's great. How does it feel to be back in Guam after all these
Oh,
years?
it's wonderful to be back. This is my second visit. I was here 5 years ago also. Love the place.
Do you have a Liberation Day message for the community?
No particular message.
Let's move on in. It's kind of hot out here.
Yes,
Let's go move in, sir.
thank you.
Sorry, guys. Yes, you got it.
You're the guest of honor. I'm just with you. I just married you.
Thank you again.
How are you?
Wonderful.
Good to have you. This is my board chairman, Mr. Sunny Ada.
Welcome, Hafa
Sunny,
Adai.
pleased to meet you.
Thank you for coming.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
very
Your
much.
host, and
Welcome.
also our vice chair, Mr.
Welcome to
Milton
Guam.
Morinaga.
And thank you very much
Yes.
for your service.
Thank you. Well, we're the ones that are honored, not you.
Please, come on
Tell
in.
you. Wonderful.
We did.
Come on in.
Thank you. We're honored to be here.
Hello, Raymond. How are you?
I brought your letter back.
That's so. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Come on in.
I'm ready.
Come on in. Come on in. This is my board chairman, your host.
Hafa Adai,
For
welcome.
Guam, Mr.
Thank you for
Sunny
coming.
Ada. And also our vice chairman, Mr.
Welcome
Milton
to Guam.
Morinaga.
And thank you very much for your service. And
Yes.
welcome home.
Okay.
Welcome to our home again.
Yes, sir.
I probably didn't do as good as the postman did.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Can we get a hug when you guys?
You know what he just gave me? 2 pecan pies. Every year he mails this 2 pecan pies to the Guam Visitors
Can we get a
Bureau.
look
Yes, and he so carefully packages it.
I didn't do it. I unpacked it
Yes.
because of that.
Thank you so much. For years he's mailed our pecan pies. Staff, this is Mr. Falconer who sends our pies to us. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Yes. Yes. Good to see you.
hi, welcome. Thank you for coming. Okay. Get that open and show the camera.
Yes, let's open this, yes.
They can't have any of this.
We'll open it and show it, yes. You can open it. Every year he sends me 2 pies, like clockwork. Every year Mr. Faulkner sends us 2 pies he personally makes and packages so carefully and sends it during liberation time for us to enjoy.
Now it's
and to
hand-delivered.
and yes, it usually is air freighted, but now he has personally hand delivered his 2 pies to GVB. Yes,
great.
thank you.
Wonderful to hear. Again, lots of great relationships already started and continue to be celebrated as GVB celebrates its liberators and that one World War II veteran. So now everyone's going to have an opportunity to get a chance to meet the 2 liberators and that World War II veteran. Again, the liberators are Lloyd Gillick, Raymond Falconer, and that World War II veteran, Rosen, Grin. Wonderful story there. We saw hand-delivered pecan pies that are usually sent every year to GVB for all they do.
Chris, can you open this right here? I want the media to see the pies. Yeah.
All right. Again, thanks for tuning in. We have lots of the community chiming in. Debbie Davis saying pecan pie, a sweet gesture. Yes, of course. Rose Beneventi saying thank you. Lots of people expressing their gratitude for both the liberators, veterans, and survivors.
How old were you then, sir?
21.
21 at the time.
Yeah.
And when did you enlist in the Navy?
I'm sorry?
When did you enlist in the Navy?
1942.
Okay. How old were you when you enlisted, sir?
18.
18, okay.
Right after Pearl Harbor,
Oh, wow.
that's when everybody signed up.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and get started with our little program this morning.
Sure.
We want to welcome all our liberators and the World War II veterans, and all of our media family that have joined us, and all of the viewers that have joined us online. My name is Josh DeKenko. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Guam Visitors Bureau. And we just want to say Hafa Adai and welcome to our guests here today. Let's give them a round of applause. So before we get started with breakfast, I'd like to introduce to you all our President and CEO of the Guam Visitors Bureau, Ms. Pilar Laguardia. Let's give her a round of applause. And then also I want to introduce to you our Board of Directors. We have our Board Chairman, Mr. Sunny Atta, right here joining us.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone.
And then also our Vice Chair for our board, Mr. Milton Morinaga.
Welcome to Guam and good morning.
And then our Vice President, Mr. Bobby Alvarez, over to Pilar's left. To say some welcoming remarks, I'd like to invite Pilar to say a few words to everybody in this room.
Yes, thank you very much. And buenas todos, good morning and happy liberation to everyone. I would like to especially welcome our very, very special guests here today. They've been arriving for the last couple days to Guam to participate in our historic 75th Guam Liberation that we're about to partake with a series of ceremonies this week leading up to Liberation Day Parade. I will ask Josh to give a little history about each of our special guests, but I'd like to really personally welcome on behalf of our Board of Directors, our staff and management, and you may not realize this, gentlemen, but we all think about you every single year when it comes to liberation. We have tried to stay in contact with all of you. I have a long list of liberators that we have been engaged in communicating, and it's just so amazing, and we are so grateful that you're able to join us for our 75th. Mr. Falconer, thank you very much for coming to Guam. I especially would like to thank you for your delicious pies. Every year, Mr. Falconer sends Guam visitors Bureau 2 homemade pies, and this time he personally had delivered them to Guam. I would like to thank your son Chris for joining us and for escorting your dad to join us on this special occasion. Thank you very much. And Mr. Lloyd Glick, thank you very much for coming. It's a great honor to also have you here with your wife Judy, and we welcome you back to our island. And we're forever grateful for your efforts to come and join us for this celebration.
Thank you.
Mr. Golden Green, thank you very much. I want to also thank Debbie. Thank you for bringing your father to the island. I know that it was a long journey and effort for you to also be with us today, and we're so honored to have you, sir, come and join us and participate in our 75th anniversary. Ladies and gentlemen, the Guam Visitors Bureau staff and management and board does this every year, where we provide an opportunity for our local media to come and personally meet our returning liberators and special guests and allow you to hear their stories firsthand and to share those stories not only for our community but for the prosperity of history and preserving that for our children. And so this opportunity is meant for you to meet with them, and also for the Guam Visitors Bureau to extend our most hearty hospitality. You will be taken care of real good during your stay here, and the Guam Visitors Bureau is so honored to be your host for the 75th Liberation. Thank you. Now, I have one particular liberator that was going to join all of you, and he was planning to come to the very last minute, although his health conditions prevented him from getting on the airplane. His name is Gene Bell. He would like to join you. He was our 75th Grand Marshal for the Liberation, and he is a U.S. Marine, a retired Marine, and Mr. Gene Bell has been here 18 times, so it breaks his heart not to be able to join and be in the presence of our returning liberators. So he is on the phone. If I may ask him to say also hello to his comrades. Gene? Yes, happy liberation, Gene.
Happy liberation to the governor and the lieutenant governor. Liberators will have life.
Yes, I can hardly hear you, but we are in the conference room, and we would like to just say that we are thinking of you and all of the other liberators that are not able to come and join us, but you are here in our hearts and in our spirit, and we would like to thank you, Gene, for your service and your love and loyalty to the people of Guam.
Thank you. You know how I feel all the years I've been here. And this year would have been 21 years. It would be my 21st day. And I'll try to arrive in March again and spend some time on Guam when the others go to Iwo Jima.
Okay, but keep watching on your Facebook and your other social media platforms, and I will continue to let you see and enjoy liberation with us. Okay? We will. We'll send your regards, your best regards to the governor and to Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you, Pilar, and I wish you the best. And to the people of Guam, I love you all.
And so do we. Take care, Gene. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Adios. Hafa Adai. Gene Bell and other liberators, we do communicate with them throughout the year, and he just wanted to be a part of this morning, so thank you. I'm sorry it wasn't very loud, but his heart is loud, and his pride for Guam is very, very loud. Anyway, I would like to just say again, welcome to Guam and happy liberation. You have probably not seen the vibrancy of our economy. And when you first came as young soldiers and participated in securing Guam, And to see what it is today, I am sure it's been an amazing experience for you to see the transformation. And Guam has, through our visitor industry, grown our community and our economy, where we have welcomed last year 1.5 million visitors. And this year we're hoping to target 1.6 million visitors. And it has contributed to over 21,000 jobs for our community. But it all started years ago when Guam became America, and we were part of an environment and an economy and a leadership where we can all prosper for our island people. So we thank you very much for your service to the people of Guam and to the United States of America. So Viva Liberation, Viva Guam. I was just handed special coins that means a lot to the people of Guam. We have what we call a Hafa Adai pledge, where our island community, our business communities and individuals who have done a tremendous amount to promote the spirit, the Hafa Adai spirit of our community, to be a part of something very special, to perpetuate our culture and our love for our people and our island. And the contributions that each one of you have made has certainly been very significant in our economy and have improved the quality of life for our people of Guam. And so on behalf of our board of directors and our visitor industry and the people of Guam, I would like to present to you a Hafa Adai Spirit Ambassador coin, if I may. Mr. Falconer? Thank you very much. Mr. Gillett? Thank you very much. Mr. Rosen? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's give them a round of applause.
Can you get a shot at Mr. Pop? Oh.
So just a little bit about the Hafa Adai Spirit Ambassador coin. It really means a lot to the people of Guam, but it also serves as a tangible symbol of the act of hospitality and giving. So the fact that you're able to come back here 75 years later means a lot to us, and we want to thank you all for being here and joining us for this momentous occasion. Tutus Masi, thank you so much. So I know we're eager for breakfast, but I know you guys want to get to know the Liberators a little bit more. So we have some bios of them. So if I could get your attention to hear a little bit about their history, and then you guys can have a sit-down conversation with them over breakfast. How's that sound? And we can bless the food. So we'll start off with Mr. Lloyd Glick. Mr. Glick is 95 years old, and he lives in California. He served in the U.S. Navy that sailed on the 5th Fleet under Admiral Spruance. His fleet included 6 aircraft carriers and 10 battleships. His closest approach to Guam was right off the island on the battleship USS North Carolina. His unit provided air cover over Guam. The planes from their carriers conducted the initial bombarding of Guam, and Mr. Glick co-authored the book From Bugle Boy to Battleships, A Battle of Saipan and Guam, Veterans' Memoirs. Prior to enlisting, Mr. Lloyd was an accomplished trumpet player as the second trumpet chair for the University of California Symphony. Mr. Lloyd also joined the United States Navy as a way of entering their prestigious Naval School program, a decision which ultimately landed him in the position of a musician second class aboard the USS North Carolina as a member of the ship's band, while it participated in the bombings of Saipan, Guam, Palau, Pohnpei, and the battles throughout World War II's pivotal Pacific campaign. So, Mr. Glick's history. And now for Mr. Raymond Falconer. Mr. Falconer is 97 years old and lives in Scottsdale, Arizona. He served in the U.S. Marines as Private First Class in the U.S. Marine Corps 3rd Division. He served from September 15, 1942 to October 4, 1945. and Mr. Falconer was awarded the Purple Heart Medal in 1943 for injuries sustained as a result from enemy action at Bougainville, Solomon Islands. Additionally, Mr. Falconer was awarded the Bronze Star Medal for his heroic service during operations in Bougainville, Guam, and Iwo Jima. Mr. Falconer participated in action on Guam from July 21st to August 10th, 1944. He was on the front lines with the infantry as a telephone lineman for the artillery. Following the liberation of Guam, Mr. Falconer continued towards Japan with the 3rd Marine Division in the battle for Iwo Jima in February and March of 1945. Mr. Falconer was born and grew up in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, graduating from Central High School. He and his late wife, Mava Falconer, raised their 3 children in Oklahoma City, a daughter, Barbara, and sons Chris and Donald. They were married for 65 years, have 7 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren, and 21 nieces and nephews. And after retiring from his service from the Marine Corps, Mr. Falconer worked as a truck driver for 17 years with Mercury Van and Storage, and as a computer programmer for 23 years with the State of Oklahoma Department of Public Welfare before retiring in 1985. He and his wife then traveled to all 50 states and over 20 foreign countries. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Falconer. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Gordon Rosen. Born December 28, 1924 in Dawson, Minnesota, Mr. Gordon Rosen is 94 years old. He is a World War II veteran and was a seaman first class on the LST 377. He served from 1944 to 1946. His naval ship was involved in the cleanup and reconstruction after the war. He was on Guam, Saipan, Tinian, Rota, and the Marshall Islands as part of a tour from April 9th to August 29th, 1945. After his service, Mr. Rosengren returned to Minnesota and married in 1953 to Carol Lynn Hansen until her death in 1944. Mr. Rosengren has 3 children, 2 sons, Terrence and Todd, and 1 daughter, Deborah. Currently, he has 6 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. And upon returning to Minnesota, Mr. Rosengren worked in construction as a heavy equipment operator, building roads for 14 years. From there, he worked for the Metropolitan Transit Company, driving a city bus for 27 years until he retired in 1992. And after retirement, he went to work in farming in western Minnesota for 10 years. He was a snowbird and fled to Arizona for the winters until 2018, when he sold his home in Arizona. And he enjoys fishing and hunting with his boys, as well as boating and being in the water. He also loved target practice with his handguns, and one of his pastimes was rock collecting. He belongs to a rock club for many years and made a few pieces of jewelry and belt buckles. So ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gordon Rosen. And now I'd like to invite Chris Lazama to bless the food, and we'll get started with breakfast.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. We thank you, Lord, for your many benefits, for our families, Hita Iman Samoro, who have Manamku survivors still with us, and in memory of those who have passed on, for our peace, our freedom, our liberators. May you continue to grace us with your blessings as we pray in thanksgiving for the bounties of this feast, and thank the hands that prepared the food, as well as those who helped the setup of this beautiful show of appreciation and honor to our beloved liberators. Together we pray, bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty, through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right, the table is now open, but could we get a group photo with our liberators, our chairman, our board of directors, and also our management? I forgot to acknowledge the presence of our Director of Finance Administration, Ms. Rose Cunliffe, our Director of Tourism Research, Mr. Nico Fujikawa, as well as our Director of Global Marketing.
All right, you heard from them directly here at GVB, giving that warm Hafa Adai welcome to 2 liberators and 1 World War II veteran. Again, their names are Lloyd Glick, Raymond Falconer, and World War II veteran Gordon Rosengren. And of course, you can see them sitting right next to our Grand Marshals who we introduced last night. We're going to get to chatting with them over breakfast here in GVB. My name is Tomas Maglonia for KUAM. Thanks for tuning in.